Episode 1. The First Glimpse by Aysel Demir, Istanbul Confidential exclusive. In a world where the line between real and real blurs under the spotlight of fame, two of Turkey's most captivating stars have seemingly crossed it quietly, passionately, and secretly. If you like the video, please subscribe and comment. Rumors had swirled for months, whispered in backstage corners, hinted at through mysterious glances, and pieced together by die-hard fans. But now, Istanbul Confidential can exclusively reveal the unfolding chapters of what might be the most secret and spellbinding celebrity romance of the decade. The clandestine relationship between Elçin Sangu, the fiery-haired beauty of Turkish dramas, and Çağatay Ulusoy, the enigmatic heartthrob whose silence only amplifies his mystery. A chance encounter in Milan. It all began not in Istanbul, but far from the paparazzi's reach. In Milan, during Fashion Week 2024. Both stars had flown in separately. Elçin was invited by Valentino, and Çağatay had been modeling quietly for a bespoke fragrance brand launching at a private show. According to sources close to the event, it was an after-party at a private villa in Lake Como where their paths first crossed. They weren't introduced formally. A stylist who worked that night told us under anonymity. But it was like magnets. They saw each other across the garden terrace, and the whole energy changed. They reportedly spent over an hour sitting on a balcony, overlooking the lake, laughing like old friends, though they had never worked together or been spotted in the same circle before. From that night on, the connection became unspoken and electrifying. Back in Istanbul, the clues begin to appear in the following weeks. Both Elçin and Çağatay returned to Istanbul. The tabloids missed the story, until now, because they were never seen in public together. But fans began noticing subtle clues. Instagram stories with similar backdrops, nearly identical sunsets posted minutes apart, captions that quoted the same poems. One quote from Elçin stood out in particular, posted on March 18th. Batsiz sessizlikler and derin bagırışlardır. Some silences are the loudest screams. A day later, Çağatay posted, Sessizliği anlayabilen anlatacak çok şey var. There's so much to say to those who understand silence. To many, it was just art. But to those paying attention, it was an unfolding diary of affection. Private meetings at the Bosphorus Mansion. Istanbul Confidential has learned from two reliable sources that the duo met frequently at a historic mansion on the Bosphorus, rented under a shell company name traced back to Çağatay's legal team. The property is secluded, with private entry through a waterfront gate, making it almost impossible for paparazzi to detect. They would arrive separately, sometimes hours apart, a security detail said. But once inside, they would stay until dawn. They were like ghosts, never seen, only felt. One night in early April, a neighbor heard soft music and laughter echoing across the water. I thought it was a film shoot, the neighbor said. But when I asked around, no one knew anything. Now I understand. A shared love for music and poetry. Their relationship, insiders claim, is not built on drama or fanfare. Instead, it is poetic, literally. Both Elçin and Çağatay share a love for Turkish poetry, particularly the works of Cemal Süreya and Nazım Hikmet. They have reportedly written poems to each other, some of which may be hidden in the cryptic captions on their social media posts. One particularly telling stanza was posted on a close friend's private account, later deleted, allegedly written by Çağatay for Elçin. Sakların Rüzgar gibi, kalbim bir gemi, ve sunher gaze. Yüzak bir limansın bana. Your hair like the wind, my heart a ship, and you every night, a distant port to me. Episode 2. Shadows in Nisantasabi. Aysel Demir, Istanbul Confidential exclusive. In the hushed corridors of Istanbul's elite neighborhoods, where whispers travel faster than limousines, a subtle game of hide-and-seek has been unfolding, one fueled by passion, poetry, and the unmistakable ache of secrecy after their alleged Milan encounter and quiet nights along the Bosphorus. Elçin Sangu and Çağatay Ulusoy became experts at veiling their closeness. But Istanbul is a city that watches closely, and even the most discreet lovers eventually leave traces. The morning routine that wasn't so routine on April 27th, just after sunrise. A curious scene caught the eye of a barista in Nişantaşı's upscale Maca district. A silver Range Rover pulled up outside a low-profile boutique hotel known for hosting foreign celebrities and fashion insiders. Out stepped a tall man wearing sunglasses and a fisherman's beanie, pulling the hood of his sweatshirt over his head. He ordered a double espresso and waited quietly in the back garden, the barista told us. He looked familiar, but I wasn't sure until I saw the tattoo on his wrist. That was Çağatay. An hour later, Elçin was spotted entering the same cafe from a back alley entrance. She didn't stay long, only 10 minutes, but walked out carrying a takeout coffee and a shy smile. One witness swears they saw her wink at the barista before slipping into a side door of the same boutique hotel, and no one saw them leave together. But the digital receipt from the hotel shows that the penthouse suite, booked under the name İsanyar, was checked out by noon. Coincidence? Or choreography, their inner circle? Complicit or clueless? We reached out to both actors' publicists. As expected, the official response was a firm denial. Ms. Sangu and Mr. Ulusoy are not in any personal relationship. They are colleagues who admire each other's work. But our investigation into their inner circle, the stylists, makeup artists, assistants, and drivers, tells a different story. Several shared, off the record, that they had been given strict instructions to avoid asking questions. They don't talk about each other. But when their names come up, there's always a pause, said a stylist who has worked with both stars. It's like everyone knows, but no one dares to say it out loud. Even on sets, insiders notice changes. Elçin, usually cheerful and chatty, began arriving in a more reserved mood, often wearing a bracelet made of black beads rumored to have been gifted by Çağatay. She plays with it when she's nervous. One crew member noted, meanwhile, Çağatay's phone background, according to a leaked image caught in a makeup trailer reflection, showed a blurry red-haired silhouette on a windy cliff. That's her. Only one woman in Turkish media has hair like that. The source whispered, the Antalya retreat. Love in the lush hills in late May. Both actors simultaneously went off-grid. Fans noted a complete silence from their social accounts. No selfies, no sponsored content, no stories for 5 days. That same week, a luxury eco-lodge outside Antalya, accessible only by private car or boat, confirmed a single booking under the name Ukandan. The lodge's manager refused to give names, but hinted at 2 famous guests staying in the Tree of Silence villa, its most secluded and expensive option, a cleaning staff member later revealed. They cooked together. They danced barefoot under the stars. She sang something while he played guitar. It wasn't a fling. It felt like 2 people hiding from the world, not from each other. On the 3rd night, a sudden thunderstorm hit. The couple, according to staff, didn't leave the villa. Lights flickered all night, soft music played, and the next morning they checked out. No photos exist, none that have surfaced. But that silence, that synchronized social absence, told its own story, a hidden poem on Elçin's script. One of the most telling clues came not through paparazzi, but through pen and paper. During filming for her upcoming drama series, a production assistant accidentally snapped a photo of Elçin's annotated script. Among the scene notes, visible in the margin, was a handwritten verse. Bana ait almayan bir adami, bu kadarıktan sevmek neyin günahı? To love a man who isn't mine, with such honesty, is that my sin? The image went viral among fan pages. The post was deleted within an hour, but not before it was screenshotted and dissected. She didn't write that for scene. a source from the production said. It was scribbled next to a monologue, like something she had written for herself. Fans immediately connected it to Çağatay, speculating that the two stars might be separated by contracts, obligations, or perhaps something deeper. Fear. Episode 3. Paris, Promises, and the Phone Call by Aysel Demir, Istanbul Confidential, exclusive. And the more they tried to keep their connection hidden, the more the universe seemed to trace the outline of their love in stardust. And this time, it left a trail of romance across Paris, the city of light, and perhaps now, the city of their love. From whispered poetry in Istanbul to storm-kissed silence in Antalya, Elçin Sangu and Çağatay Ulusoy's covert relationship had remained undetected by the mainstream. But now, with a ring, a rose, and a rendezvous in Paris, even the walls of secrecy were beginning to crumble, a trip that wasn't posted. On the evening of June 18th, Turkish Airlines confirmed that Ulusoy boarded a first-class flight to Paris under a VIP manifest. 2 hours later, Sanyar, a pseudonym Elçin had used before, appeared on the same flight seat map, just one row behind him. Neither posted photos. There were no Instagram stories from the Eiffel Tower. No glamorous shots from Montmartre. Nothing. But fans noticed that Elçin suddenly followed a boutique florist in Le Marais, and that Çağatay's Spotify playlist was briefly made public, with several French jazz songs and one track titled Rendezvous Secret. And then came the image. A blurry photo, likely taken from across the street, showed two figures at night outside the Musée Rodin, an area known for being gated after hours. The woman wore a long, red coat. The man had his hands on her shoulders. They were facing each other, eyes locked in what fans described as a soul conversation. Though grainy, the red hair and stance were unmistakable. It was Elçin and Çağatay. The ring that sparked the fire on June 20th. Elçin appeared at a Vogue Turkey editorial dinner in Istanbul. Her hair was in soft waves, makeup minimal, smile radiant. But the gold ring on her right hand's middle finger was the spark that ignited fan theories. It was a delicate band with two tiny emeralds and a central moonstone, in the shape of an infinity loop. Fans quickly traced the design to a Paris-based jeweler known for custom commitment rings for lovers. Rings designed not for marriage, but for eternal understanding. When pressed about it during an interview, Elçin laughed. "It's just a gift," she said, toying with the ring. "From someone who knows what silence means." The room fell silent, and Owen asked again. The phone call that changed everything. July 2nd, 2025. According to insiders, Elçin had returned to her set after a brief hiatus, while Çağatay was in Cappadocia scouting a location for a short film he planned to direct. That morning, Elçin received a phone call during a break in filming. Witnesses say she stepped out of the studio, stayed outside for over 30 minutes, and returned with tears in her eyes, but smiling. She hugged the assistant director without explanation, one crew member said. And then she picked up her script and delivered the most emotional scene we've seen from her all season. The phone call, it is believed, was from Çağatay, though no details have been confirmed. A close friend of Elçin's confided to Istanbul Confidential. They made a promise. He asked her to trust the silence, to know that even if the world never sees them together, they belong to each other. And she agreed. That same night, Çağatay posted a rare quote to his Instagram story. "Saklamak değil, korumak için susuyorum." I do not hide. I stay silent to protect. Conclusion of Episode 3. From secret cafes to poetry written in margins, from private eco-villas to love letters whispered in music, Elçin Sangu and Çağatay Ulusoy are weaving a love story more cinematic than anything they've acted in. Still, one question remains. Will they ever come forward with their truth? Or will their love forever live in the spaces between headlinen? Thank you guys.